Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Daku. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a special show because we're actually doing an on-location show from the lab, Handcrafted Coffee and Comforts. And joining me tonight is the Primitive Paleo, Miss Christina Scarillo. She's joining me again as guest co-host, and we're going to talk about healthy eating for the holidays. Really quickly though, I want to just announce that the radio show has once again been nominated for Taste Awards. This is our third year on the air and our third year being nominated. We are up for Best Review Critic Series, and we're also up for Best Radio Series. And the greatest part of all is that you guys out there listening can help pick the winner. Both of those categories are People's Choice categories, and if you go online to the KPEL website, or you can go to the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page, there is a link there that will take you to where you can vote and share alike. Get as many people as you know out there to go out and vote, and let's bring home a win for Acadiana. All right, we are going to be talking with Christina with Primitive Paleo. Thank you so much for coming back on the show again.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so for people who didn't listen to the show last time you were on, you kind of want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am a dietetics student. I'm a senior at UL. I am hoping to go on to get my master's and my PhD upon graduating, become an RD. But in the meantime, I sort of started my own little nutrition business. That's Primitive Paleo. And I basically cook and prepare foods for clients weekly, depending on their needs, and provide nutritional, healthy meals. I do local cooking classes around at Whole Foods, East Kitchen. So just sort of nutrition education, some inspiration. And I also am the study coordinator for epigenetics. So that is, like I said before, we're piloting a breast cancer study with various nutritional interventions for breast cancer. So, yeah.
You are a very busy lady because you're a student, you are a home chef, yes. You run the Primitive Paleo, you're constantly doing things. How do you fit it all in?
I don't. Fake it till you make it. No, I really nutrition, if I didn't eat as great as I do and fueled my body as I should, I really wouldn't have the energy to do it all. So time management. College has taught me how to be maximally stressed but composed at the same time. So it's intense.
Yeah, and I just want to, with all that other stuff too, you still exercise and work out.
Yes, I do. I love to exercise and work out. So it's my stress relief.
Okay, and to also recap, what is paleo?
Okay, paleo is a really simple way of looking at food. It's an ancestral way of eating. So it's basically including foods from day to day, mainly vegetables, lean pasture-raised poultries and meats, and I'm sorry, I said lean. Grass-fed, pasture-raised meats, seafood, nuts, seeds, some fruit. Sometimes you can incorporate grass-fed butters, and if you tolerate dairy, then they consider that kind of a primal way of eating. But it's really just a way of looking at food as least processed and natural as possible, and avoiding those inflammatory foods mainly.
And you're going to be doing something with Prime Health?
Yes. So Prime Health is a VIP concierge medical service, or membership rather. And it's basically just Dr. Bond, a local physician, who created this platform for addressing total body health, taking you beyond peak performance in all aspects of health. He's going to be doing telomere testing, mitochondria testing, including monthly nutrition plans, and I think Acadiana Nutrition Group is a partner who's going to be referred as the registered dietitians, and so they're bringing me on as a partner to provide nutrition education, cooking classes, helping with plans, pantry needs. So it's really just a total body wellness that really addresses health as if you're an Olympic athlete.
You just got back from a conference as well, correct?
Yes, the annual Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo in Boston, which is the hub for all things food and nutrition, medical related, non-medical related. A lot of students in the didactic programs go and they speak to just all of these vendors and doctors, physicians, medical professionals about everything happening recently in nutrition and research.
One of the podcasts that I listen to is the Food Love podcast, and she was actually at that conference too. She mentioned it on this week's show. She kind of gave a shout out to all the people that she met at the conference, and it's a podcast more about your relationship with food and mindful eating.
Right.
And she deals a lot with people who have had different eating disorders with food, and it just kind of starts with a letter to yourself about food. But it's a really interesting podcast. Again, it's called the Food and Love podcast. But she went to that conference, and I remember when she said, I was like, I think Christina just went to that, and I want to talk to her about it when she comes on the show.
Yeah, I definitely went. It's funny because running like a food blog and being so connected with Instagram, I went out there and I kind of posted, I was like, who's going to be in Boston? And I saw so many people that I know through Instagram and their food and their blogging, and a few RDs that I connected with that I had never met in real life, and I met them. But that's I've never heard of the Food Love, but I think that's a very, very relevant topic right now in women's health, understanding mindful eating and not feeling restricted. And so there were a few actually talks and sessions on eating disorders, the eating disorder for the athlete, the female athlete triad. So there's a big topic this year at FNCE, which I was excited to see.
See, I want to do a future show on eating disorders, I feel like, because yes, this is a show about food, but then also kind of exploring different topics with food. And I feel like one good show would be on eating disorders and getting different people on the show. I'm trying to figure out who all I would get from Lafayette to be able to be on the show, but
hi, I can be. But yeah, that's a huge topic, especially I don't think as many women are vocal about it, but it takes a few standing up and being open about their relationship with food and maybe some previous relationships that they had that weren't so beneficial to really inspire that community, because I think that that's really, really important. And I think a lot of women are just utterly confused about nutrition, food, their relationship, and that it's not bad, good, healthy, unhealthy. It all serves its purpose. And I think that's a very, very relevant topic right now for sure.
So Lunch Club, you introduced me to it last week. It's been going on for some time at UL. Never knew this existed. Now I added myself to the email list, so I will know about future lunch clubs. What is it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. It's funny. Lunch Club is like the country club of UL and UL Dietetics and Hospitality. It's a thing. So it's basically this student-run restaurant. Hospitality and dietetics students run it twice a week, Tuesday and Thursdays. It's a long lab. It's our 8-hour lab, and we start this project our junior year, and we're developing basically a restaurant as if we'd own it. So we go through all of staffing, food costs, menu development, revenue, profits, everything, the whole 9 yards, running the kitchen, the general manager in the front of house, all of the details that go into developing and creating a successful restaurant. And then our senior year, you showcase it. So you run the restaurant and you apply everything that you've put together over the last year. And it's kind of surreal because when you're developing it your junior year, you're not really thinking about when you're actually going to have to do all of this stuff. And so my week just happened, like you were there. And honestly couldn't probably have gone better. I was so happy with the turnout, but it is nerve-wracking. Even being like a cook and like owning a business that I cook for people, it's so different than running a restaurant. I gained so much respect for just the hospitality department in that aspect.
Yeah, so it's $15 and it's 4 courses, and you have to sign up at the beginning of the semester because there's a wait list because it's very, very popular to get on, and it's about 50 seats.
It's 50 seats. That's the maximum capacity. And it's reservation only, so you can't just come up in Hamilton Hall on campus and walk in and eat. It's usually, like I said, it's like a little country club for UL. So all these little older ladies could trickle in, and they just love it. I mean, they get their like white tablecloth, and we serve them 4 courses, and it's just such a pleasant, enjoyable atmosphere for UL. And I think it's a hidden gem on campus. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's fun.
So you want to tell us what the name of your restaurant was and how you came up with the concept?
Sure. So my partner was Kristen Uye, and she was a general manager. We named our restaurant Cuore, which is dream in Italian. So I'm Italian. My last name's Cirillo. So we did that, and we kind of wanted to integrate like a Mediterranean cuisine with local cuisine as much as possible in the budget that we had, so we're kind of limited in that sense. It would have been impossible for me to do a paleo menu, so I just went all out, cooked 2 entrees with pasta and rice and cheese, and it was lovely. We did chicken cacciatore, we did a baked penne and shrimp pasta, sort of like a rigatoni, and then we did baklava, which we had to cook 1,000 times to come out right. We did a pumpkin pie, which was my idea because it's fall. I had to incorporate pumpkin in the menu somehow. We did like a baguette, toasted baguette with garlic hummus, olive oil, parsley, olives, feta, and then we did caprese salad skewers. So it went really well.
I very much enjoyed the baklava. I made the comment that I've never had warm, fresh baklava before, and that was what stood out the most for me.
Good. It took me, so the weekend before, I prepared all of our recipes at home. And there's this meme where there's this girl in the kitchen with just loads of pasta everywhere, and she's like, bring you and 100 of your friends because I have no idea how to cook pasta. And that's how I felt at my house on the weekend. But I made the recipes and I made the baklava. Everything turned out great. And when I went to make the baklava, I take it out of the oven, and it was like paper that had been fried in a bonfire for 80 hours. I didn't understand that you have to take every layer of phyllo dough and butter as much as you can. So we made long story short, we made the dessert in advance for the actual day of the restaurant because it needed to sit and absorb all of that goodness. So
wow, I could not even tell that it was delightful. I very much appreciate it. So did you find out what your grade is yet?
Not yet, but hopefully my teacher's listening. She's generous with her grading, but I think overall the day went really well, and there weren't many. I mean, it was almost, you could hear a pencil drop in the kitchen. That's how great my team worked together. I mean, people just stepped up to the challenge, so it was awesome.
Okay, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, I have an interview with Martin Dawson, who is the co-creator of Broker's Gin. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Christina Scarillo. Am I pronouncing that right?
Close. Christina Cirillo.
If we have one constant theme through the show besides my food obsession, it's that I cannot pronounce a last name for my life because I mess it up every single guest. It's a common. So
that's okay. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm trying though. I'm really, really trying. So earlier in the week, I got to interview Mr. Martin Dawson, who is the co-creator of Broker's Gin. He actually happened to be in Lafayette. Schilling Distributing brought him in to kind of showcase what the Broker's Gin is. It was an event at Sizzling Monkey, and I got to try it. I am a gin lover, and I actually really like this one because, as he describes it in the interview, it's in the middle. It's not a light gin and it's not an over-the-top, I'm drinking a Christmas tree gin. It's right there in the middle, and it was really nice and smooth. Are you a big gin drinker, Christina?
Actually, I drank a gin dirty martini last night for the Prime Health event at Maison Grill. But I don't really have that much experience with gin. I more prefer, I guess, vodkas. But gin is a clear liquor, so I do enjoy a good gin cocktail or martini for sure.
Yeah, in the summer for me, it's gin and tonics all the way. Gin and tonics with a splash of lime.
Yeah, no, I love gin and tonic. Lime and lemon. It keeps away the sugars and all the fillers in a lot of those cocktails. So yeah, that's delicious for sure.
All right, and so here is our interview with Mr. Martin Dawson with Broker's Gin. Joining me now is Mr. Martin Dawson, who is one of the co-creators of Broker's Gin out of London, and I'm really excited to get to interview him right now. I would have to say he is probably the farthest away guest that I have interviewed on the Lafayette Food Junkie radio show. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so why gin? What made you want to get into gin?
Because 18 years ago, I noticed that around the world there were just 3 premium gins, and I thought, why not make the 4th premium gin?
And what sets your gin apart?
Well, the other 3 gins I analysed briefly, and I decided that one of them is a rather masculine gin with a very dominant juniper flavour. The second gin I would describe as rather light and feminine. And the third gin at the time was very good, but I wanted to put a little bit more citrus into my gin. So I figured that if my gin was less masculine, less feminine, and had more citrus flavour, I might make friends with it around the world.
I have to say, I sampled it in one of the cocktails here at Sizzling Monkey, and it was really smooth compared to other gins, so I really liked it.
Well, the smoothness is accounted for by the fact that all gins have juniper berries, and I wanted to offset the juniper berries with another 9 botanicals. So I selected 9 traditional London dry gin botanicals to soften the juniper and make my gin exceptionally smooth.
So gin is kind of having almost a renaissance right now. Vodka's kind of moving out of popularity. Gin is becoming popular. A lot of craft cocktail makers are using gin. Why do you think that it's becoming more popular than vodka?
Well, I think the most obvious explanation is that young people who were drinking vodka have grown up, if you like, and are now looking for spirits that have a little more flavour and interest. And the easiest move that they could make was from vodka to gin. And all gin is, of course, at the end of the day, flavoured vodka, because gin is made using neutral spirit, which is vodka, and flavoured especially with juniper berries. And young people who've become now not quite so young have discovered that it's a very interesting drink.
Yeah, I have to say that I am a whiskey girl, but when I drink cocktails, I am a fan of the gin cocktail. What are some of your favorite cocktails with gin?
Well, I grew up partly in West Africa, but mostly in Europe, and I've never really moved away from gin and tonic. I think it is endlessly refreshing, especially on a warm summer's day. And even in London, we occasionally have a warm summer's day that calls for a good gin and tonic. If I'm looking just to ring the changes, I might go with a Negroni, which of course is made with 3 different ingredients, but it's 1/3 gin, and that's always a wonderful mixture. Or of course a good New York or Lafayette martini, that works too.
And we will say that you can get the Broker's Gin locally at Nunu's Grocery, Bros Mart, Marcello's, and then restaurants that you can get it at is Sizzling Monkey, Romacelli, and Ruth Chris. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night to talk to us, Mr. Martin.
Tiffany, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I thank you so much for your hospitality in beautiful Lafayette.
Okay, and we need to get you some boudin before you leave town.
I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPAL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Primitive Paleo, Miss Christina Scarillo. Did I do better that time?
A little bit. We're still working on it.
So this is the last Sunday before the big Thanksgiving holiday. It's the beginning of the holiday season. It's balls to the wall, eating until you can eat no more.
Right.
How do you normally handle it? Do you go off the healthy eating and just eat whatever you want, or do you try to stay on it as much as possible?
So what mode of food coma, what route do I take, aka? The holidays I think are more difficult than people make them out to be with regard to food. So my number one gift of advice to anyone trying to stay on track, eat healthy, be mindful of their food choices over the holidays, is bringing a dish or multiple dishes with you to your holiday party. So for my family, I think it's fun. I try to trick them with foods that I kind of healthify that they wouldn't think were necessarily possible. Like last year I brought cauliflower mashed potatoes instead of real mashed potatoes, and I totally fooled my grandfather.
Wow.
I brought like Brussels sprouts and bacon with pomegranate seeds, and then I made a stuffing out of like a grain-free stuffing that was pretty delicious. So I wouldn't say that I necessarily go on or off as if it's like a relationship there with food. But I do indulge a little bit. I'm not gonna skip on like grandma's pumpkin pie because that's special and close to the heart, and I would never ever encourage someone to do that unless it's for other health reasons. But I think that indulging mindfully is a good idea, but also bringing some dishes that you can have on the side. Some veggie options are always good because you can always eat some turkey, briskets, those slow cooked meats, the ones that mom and pop cook for all day. Those are really important. And just pairing it with vegetables and fruits, and staying away from like the chip bar if there's one of those, staying away from like the loaded starchier starchier grains and potatoes with cheeses and all those heavy sauces. That's really where it can get you too, like the sugary cocktail sauces, the cranberries. Those additions are really important to be mindful of. Keep your portions good, but yeah, just bring a dish, bring a bunch of vegetables.
That sounds easy enough. And I feel like a lot of traditionally like holiday vegetables like sweet potato and butternut squash are very paleo friendly or healthy in general.
Right. And I think it's also a neat, I've been reading a lot about like bioenergetic eating and food hacking. And it's basically, it sounds way fancier than it is and like this super quirky way of eating, but it's not. It's basically eating through the season. So we all do that. But I think a lot of people could benefit from that more, and I think the holidays are a good way to incorporate that. So eating vegetables, like you said, like those root dense warming vegetables and meats, and those are all what's offered on Thanksgiving. It's just being mindful of the mac and cheese on the side as well, maybe skipping that. So what I do is this year I want to bring a bacon, mac, and cauliflower cheese. So it's basically going to be roasted cauliflower that I'm going to cook with like a cheese-free sauce that's going to be made from cashews and coconut milk. And of course it's not something that I expect people to think in full for macaroni and cheese, but it's a really hearty, healthful way to incorporate those fun foods into people that maybe even have some food allergies that can't do that. So I agree though that the sweet potato casseroles, just be careful with all the marshmallows and honey and pecans on top, and serving sizes are really big. Like trying not to eat this massive 4-plater and then put yourself into a diabetic coma for the day. I think that's important for sure.
Okay, so what are your plans for Thanksgiving? What do you have up your sleeve?
So we do a big lunch with my family. I'm from New Iberia, so I travel there for the day. We just hang around, watch football, eat some good food, catch up. My sister just had a baby, so I'm the godmother, so we're just gonna be celebrating. And my mom actually, this is the first year, so some of my family members are a little iffy about the way that I eat. They still joke that I eat bird food. It's an inside joke. But this year was the first that they actually requested a dish from me, which is, I was just completely ecstatic. So my mom requested the strangest, this like caramelized onion spaghetti squash casserole, which sounds delicious, but I think of that in my Thanksgiving menu. So, but yeah, ideally I would love one day to like do my whole Thanksgiving and have just this bountiful menu of healthy food that I kind of can just incorporate as a better Thanksgiving. So yeah, my plans are just family, food, football, a lot of eating.
I mean, I think that's everyone. That's how Thanksgiving should be celebrated, with friends, family, and mass amounts of food. Ben and I are actually going to Little Big Cup. They do a Thanksgiving brunch, and I did it last year with my parents, and we loved it. It was such a great idea. I was like, this is fantastic. You can eat as much as you want. You know, you're full, and you don't have to wash any dishes. Like, you didn't have to cook or wash any dishes. The only bad thing about it was that at 6 o'clock at night, when you're hungry again, you don't have any Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah.
So we may try to go get a pie. There's a local place that's doing pies, and they're doing like a chocolate mint one. And I feel like I need that. He was like, oh, this is a good holiday pie. I said, or a pie for a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, it, whatever works.
Is that in with why? This is a good pie for that day.
Right. So I feel like that's what we're probably going to do for that. And we'll probably cook a meal, because we're going to have the kids for Christmas. We're going to cook a big meal for Christmas. And I'm going to do a macaroni and cheese with a chickpea flour pasta so his son can have it, and we're gonna do like mashed potatoes. We're gonna do a turkey roll that's wrapped in bacon and slathered in a lot of butter, like super healthy. And to balance this out, I want Brussels sprouts, because I feel like that's part of a holiday, like, but with bacon,
Yes.
So super healthy. Kids are probably not going to eat the Brussels sprouts, but I'm trying to figure out a way to try to convince them to at least try the Brussels sprouts.
You should. So last year I made this dish. It was roasted Brussels sprouts with crumbled bacon and then pomegranate. So it looked so beautiful that I feel like kids almost would see it, and they see bacon, and then they see these little beautiful pink spots of joy, and they want to try it. But yeah, try that. Incorporate like some sort of color. Kids are like really aesthetic creatures, so they love just looking at food and it being pretty.
Pomegranate's a good idea, because I was wanting a sweet component to it too, and I was thinking maybe I might do balsamic. But pomegranate, if I can get my hands on some of that might be a good addition to it as well.
Yeah, it's a good texture too. And then it's a winter fruit, so it's in season. The only tough part is peeling the pomegranate, which is my least favorite. Bang it on a counter and hope the seeds come out.
Maybe I'll make them do that. Maybe I'll put them to work for Christmas, and they'll be part of it and like working, so then they'll want to eat it because they helped make it or something.
It's funny because last year I actually catered like through Primitive Paleo a Christmas party. All one man show. So someone asked me, and they were like, do you do catering for Christmas? And I'm like, no, but I'm gonna Google it and I'm gonna figure it out, so sure, what do you want? And so they had no idea, and so I designed this whole menu, and one man show, like, showed up. I like dressed professionally, like had these, I didn't have like proper heating and holding tables because I'm I don't do catering, but I had like the tin pan that insulated, and one of the things that I made was Brussels sprouts, bacon, and the pomegranate. And I wasn't going to fix the Brussels sprouts with the pomegranate on top until I like served it to them. Walking in with the improper equipment, I dropped all of my pomegranate, and it was a fail. But the rest of the food was delightful, and it was awesome to like see a family. I mean, they completely had a full paleo menu, all catered by me, so it was awesome. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to make some healthy side dishes for Thanksgiving, what are some recommendations that you have for them?
So like I said, any sort of, like green bean casserole for one. that's a really way to incorporate some veggies, maybe switch out, the heavy fried like onion topping and grain-based flours for like almond flours, some nut flours, seed flours. That's a really easy way to kind of healthify a recipe. I always say, think outside of the box and not so much in this like, this confined circle of what Thanksgiving has to be, that you have to have turkey and rice dressing and gravies, and you can really incorporate any vegetable into your menu, and it opens up, like if you look at a Thanksgiving table that's just filled with all these different vegetables, it really opens up the aesthetic of and the energy of the party. So I always like to suggest any green cruciferous vegetable cooked in some sort of like healthy oil, some sort of flavorful oil, like even like bacon grease. If you cook down bacon grease and you kind of cook your vegetable in it, it's a way to incorporate those micronutrients, but also satisfy that tooth that just won't get past some green vegetables. So, yeah, any sort of, I like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli, asparagus with just simply grilled salt and pepper, some lemon. That's delicious. All your meats are usually pretty healthful, but there's also a few blogs. Against All Grain is a good blog. She has like a holiday roundup for all of these great recipes. I'm working on getting my blog and website out there now. Unfortunately, it probably won't be up for the holidays, but that's one of my posts that I'm going to do, is like holiday roundup and what can you do during your holiday season to make it healthier. So yeah, I would look into Against All Grain. She's great. She just actually came out with a holiday celebrations cookbook, which has all of these recipes from her childhood that she's just completely kind of removed those iffy foods, those inflammatory foods, and she's made a really good twist on it. So
that reminds me, so last weekend when we had the kids, we were watching this movie about these turkeys that went back in time to change turkey as being eaten at Thanksgiving, and it actually became, they ate pizza as part of Thanksgiving. That's how they changed history. Could you imagine if we ate pizza for Thanksgiving? I kind of can't imagine that, because you eat pizza all the time. So would we be eating turkeys all the time? I don't understand how that would work, but could you imagine?
That would be so strange for me. Number one, if people saw me eating pizza for Thanksgiving. But yeah, no, I don't. Turkey it's just holidays. Like, you just have to eat turkey. It doesn't even matter. And you have to be tired, and you have to have a full belly, and you have to take a turkey nap. So yeah, I don't agree with those turkeys that ate pizza for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they just didn't want to die. I mean, they didn't want to be eaten. And so I get it. They wanted to eat pizza. All right, so we made it through the holidays. We've eaten all that we can. January 1st comes around, New Year's resolutions. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing this year is Whole30. And it's basically, you eat all whole foods. You can't eat cheese, nuts, grains. It's almost like a detox. It's so Whole30 is essentially a paleo, in quotations, way of eating. It's just a little bit more of a detox method. So if you've ever heard of an elimination diet, where you kind of eliminate those like common food allergens and then reintroduce them later to see how your body responds, it's that premise. So it's a really whole way, hearty, healthful way of eating for 30 days. And if you kind of fall off, you have to restart that whole 30 days, because your body won't have a chance to sort of benefit from that reintroduction period of those foods. So it's avoiding foods like grain, legumes, beans, dairy, soy, gluten, sugar, refined sugar, any processed foods, peanuts. And then after the Whole30 is when you can make your choice of how you want to maybe introduce some of those foods, if you want to continue to eat without those. And
it's kind of just a way of decreasing systemic inflammation. And I think a lot of people go into it not expecting so many benefits. And then by day 30, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. And I don't even crave this food. It's like a sugar detox as well as just a whole body detox. And also, I think detoxes can be a little bit trippy because it's like we have a kidney and a liver. Like, we don't need to pump our bodies with 8-day juice cleanses. So I think that Whole30 is a whole real way of detoxing your body in its own mechanisms, in better words.
Yeah, I'm really curious to find out if I'm allergic to anything. That's kind of why I want to go in and do it. Now, when I was talking to Daphne Olivier, she was telling me that when she does Whole30, but she does elimination diets, that she doesn't let them eat eggs because eggs is a big allergen. But everything that I was reading online for Whole30 was saying that you can have eggs.
Right. And it's not necessarily, Whole30 isn't necessarily about allergies. It does address that. But it's more just like systemic inflammation, just overall better energy, better health, total body wellness. And so some people maybe not have those allergies. And eggs are a really nutritional food. It is a common food allergy for sure. So some people may benefit from eliminating those for 30 days, seeing if they maybe possibly have some potential allergy to that food. But I eat eggs every single morning. I don't know what I would do if I had an allergen to egg. I love eggs.
That's kind of how I feel too. And I follow you on Instagram, and I'm like, this girl loves eggs as much as I do. So I can't imagine not having eggs in my diet.
Right. And I do help a few of my clients with like egg-free breakfast, because I do think that it's important to learn how to stop putting these stigmas around foods that have to be eaten at certain times. Like, you have to eat eggs for breakfast. No, you can eat a salad for breakfast. You can eat pork for breakfast. You could eat cucumbers for breakfast. You can eat whatever you want. So I do like have this roundup of recipes that I'm putting together for egg-free breakfast, because it is a big common food allergen for sure. But personally, I have no allergy to egg, and I could put egg on any food and love it. A runny yolk is my kryptonite.
All right, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, my interview with Ariel Kempf, who is the creator of Crow Mustard. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we've been talking with Christina with Primitive Paleo on tonight's show. Coming up next is an interview with Ariel Kempf. She is the creator of Crow Mustard. So Ariel's originally from Opelousas, but she lives right now in Portland, Oregon, and she happened to be in town visiting, and she brought the mustard that she makes with her. And through the wonder of social media, I actually got my hands on the three varieties that she makes. She makes a Creole, she makes a rosemary, and she makes a lime mustard. And let me tell you that I told her this, I was the most on the fence on the lime. And I think that is my absolute favorite one. The rosemary one, I want to try in a potato salad. I feel like it's going to be amazing in a potato salad. But it's these really great mustards. You can't get them yet. She is in the process of setting up a website. She's talking with Zach McMath about getting it distributed here locally. And if you subscribe to Cajun Crate, you may see the Crow Mustard make an appearance in a future Cajun Crate. So that's pretty cool. How does mustard fit in on the paleo diet?
I love mustard. It's funny because I wasn't a mustard fan growing up at all, and then just recently, within the last few years, like those the really thick mustards where the seeds are just whole, and oh my gosh, and they're just like this almost umami flavor. So the rosemary, I would love, that would be great for like a Thanksgiving edition. Even on like a charcuterie board, or that sounds awesome. Yeah. So I love mustard for sure.
All right. So here is our interview with Ariel. We are talking with Ariel Kempf, who is from Portland, Oregon, but originally from Opelousas, Louisiana. And she's down in Lafayette for a little bit, and she brought me some Crow Mustard, which is this mustard that I've been hearing about from a few places around town. So thanks for taking some time out to talk to me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So how long have you been making the mustard?
I think I started playing with it somewhere around 2011, 2012, and it was really just a little experiment. And then I started thinking maybe that it was something that was marketable. There's not a whole lot of other folks making specialty mustards, and it seemed like a really cool niche. And so I just, kept playing with it and developing the recipe till I have what I have now.
So there's 3 flavors, the rosemary, the lime, and then there's the Creole. Which has been the most popular?
It's hard to say. I'm not out in stores and such yet, so I don't really have any numbers to compare. I get a lot of great feedback from all sorts of people. I think the lime is the one that most people are most curious about because it's very unusual. But it's great. I think they're all great for different reasons, and it really just depends on what you're looking for. My favorites always change. I kind of love them all depending on what I'm eating and what I'm doing with them. So I don't have any hard numbers yet to know which ones are in fact the most popular.
Okay, so the different flavors, what would you recommend with each flavor, like how to use it?
Okay, so I like to use the lime in maybe Asian flavors, coleslaws, stir fries, fish, chicken, things like that. The Creole is really great for potato salad, I think, is my go-to with that one, the traditional Cajun mustardy, eggy potato salad. That one's also really good on pork, roasted root vegetables, those kinds of things. And the rosemary pairs really well with beef and lamb and a little bit more of those heavy flavors. It's also really great on roasted potatoes.
So right now you can't get it locally, but you're in the process of getting it distributed locally. You had some meetings with Zach McMath with the Food Hub, and then also Tara Guidry with the Cajun Crate. So there's a possibility that the mustard can pop up in a Cajun Crate.
That's correct. I'm not quite sure on a timeline yet. It's really just initial conversations being had, but it's very exciting. And so I'm hoping to have all of my little ducks in a row by February or March. So maybe this spring, early summer, it'll be available in the Lafayette area.
So going from Opelousas to Portland, what was that like? What the cultures are, I'm assuming, a bit different. What was that like?
Well, I've always had a bit of a wanderlust and a curiosity for other places and people and how people, engage with the world around them. I graduated from UL in 2001 and moved away shortly thereafter and did a lot of traveling, a lot of seasonal work and things like that. So it kind of led me a lot of different places. And then I ended up in Portland about 8 years ago. I was looking for a city, but a city that didn't feel really busy and overwhelming. And Portland really fit the bill for that. It's subdivided into 4 little quadrants, and so it really has a real neighborhoody kind of feel, but also has really great museums and restaurants and all the things that, live music and all sorts of things that bigger cities have to offer. And I love being from here and bringing that out into the world, because I think one of the things that I've learned in traveling around and living the seasonal life is that people are really curious about what Louisiana is. And it's basically 2 responses. 1, they've been here and they love it and they can't stop coming back. Or 2, they've never been here and they really want to. So it's really fun to be able to have that to talk about with people, no matter where I am.
What's the food scene like in Portland?
The food scene's amazing. Portland's situated in the Willamette Valley, which is just full of amazing produce, fruits, and vegetables most of the year. It's a very temperate place. It doesn't really freeze. And so we have just fresh food all the time. And people really put a lot of attention and care into how things are grown and what they're doing with them, and there's new stuff popping up all the time. Another interesting thing about the food scene in Portland is that all the bars are required to have a full menu.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a full liquor license, the liquor control agency, the OLCC, mandates that you have a kitchen and food available. So there's amazing happy hours everywhere with amazing food, and it's just really delicious, and people are very creative. There's a lot of ethnic foods too, which is really great.
When you come home to Opelousas, what is the one food item that you most miss? And you're like, I have to have this.
So I have to go to Hebert's, Valero, and get cracklins.
Nice.
I have to.
It's cracklins.
Yeah, cracklins.
Thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with me, and I'm looking forward to trying the crow mustard.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we've been talking with Primitive Paleo, Miss Christina, tonight. Where can people go to get more information about what you do, or if they're wanting to hire you to do some things at their home? How can they get in touch with you?
So I am actually right now developing my website and blog. It's going to be primitivepaleola.com. We just did all the domain. We're doing the logo. I have the photo shoot this weekend to get everything up there. It's going to have my recipes, pantry, tips, tricks, all of the things, the projects, jobs, studies that I'm working on, and just a hub for everything that I'm doing. So primitivepaleola.com.
How much longer do you have of your undergraduate?
1 semester.
So this is the last semester.
Yeah, this is the home stretch, and then it's on to even more. But yeah, stepping stone. So bachelor's and then moving forward.
Okay, so where are you looking at going for your graduate?
I'm looking at Tufts Medical in Boston, UT Health in Austin, Texas, and there's a few schools up in the Northwest, near Portland, Seattle. I'm not really sure yet. That happens over winter break, and it's probably the most stressful time of my life, or soon to be. So hopefully I'll have that a little more figured out then. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have you back on the show before you leave town then.
Yes, definitely. Definitely so.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Christina.
You're very welcome.
All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This has been Tiffany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this has been the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana, and have a great Thanksgiving.